Shut up and sit down.
Right, back again. So that's the decal on the hand, done and dusted. Tiny little bit of paint along the edge, and some of the arm has gone together on that. Let's have a look to see how the decals have conformed. So that one's conformed quite nicely. And had a little sand around the edge as I showed you earlier. So I can call him done. For the leg anyway. These ones have conformed as well. See, just by leaving it. A little bit of sanding stick around the edges to act as my knife. Same with that one. That's conformed quite happily. That's the first one that I done. So that's conformed. So I'm going to leave him on there for a moment. The upper arm part has conformed, so I can lose him off the stick, and that's got to have a bit of a sand, and that one's conformed as well, so I've now got to sand the edges on that one as well. So like I said before, I just go over it with a sanding stick just to redefine the edges like so. And as you can see, done. A little bit of a raised edge there, so I'm just going to run the sanding stick over that because I'm going to weather him anyway. Just like that. Because I don't really want to see raised edges on it. So I can expose a little bit of the underside colour, because when I start weathering this up and dry brushing it, the dry brush is going to pick up some of these edges anyway. So I'm initially getting coverage that I want, but I now start just weathering or rubbing off a bit of the decal, and it aids with any of the edges that don't quite conform. But all in all, I'm reasonably happy with some of these. So let's give this one a go over. So there's all crinkly edges and all kinds of gubbins there. So brutally just go along and start defining my edge piece. So then straight away let's chop that all that gubbins out of there and left me with a nice crisp edge. Because trying to cut this with a knife would be an absolute ball ache. But straight away, see, look, nice edge, all the way along. Worry about them, going to go over them in a minute with the brush. That's what I said to you last time. Is anything that hasn't quite met where it should, we just go around with a detail brush and pick out the detail. Just come all the way along, using the sander as a knife on these edges. Okay, and that's bringing that decal along to where we want it. And I know where all my weathering stuff's going to go as well. So I just need to slide that in there, and this is the world's worst battered standing stick, as you can see, but as they start decaying I just cut a chunk off of it and start again. They gradually they'll end up about that long, but I like to get my money's worth out of my sanding sticks, and I've got a big box of them sat there, thanks Jan, and it's alright, Yam's a friend of mine, he's part of the Smooth Cave and Smooth Dungeon, and he's a good old boy. He noticed he noticed how shoddy my sanding sticks are, And the cheeky sod sent me a big box along with a note. Ain't it? You're a bloody disgrace to the modelling community, mate, with your shoddy sanding sticks. I've sent you some new ones. Bless him. I'd only got a pack sent through from Phil a couple of days before. But yeah, so I considered myself thoroughly told off by the hamster. And yeah, he was pretty unimpressed with the state of my sanding sticks, bless him. See? And all I'm doing there is I'm just running the sanding stick across the top edge of these holes just to get the decal paper out of the way. And this is all going to get weathered anyway. See? But that pops them straight out of there. How easy is that? Imagine trying to do that with a bloody knife. Be there all day. And you may be thinking, oh look at that, you're wrecking your decal. No, I'm not. I know exactly how I want it to look, and it's going to look gnarled and edges, and there's going to be gunk wash going on these, and because you know it's too shiny. It's too shiny to have been out in the woods. You know, if it was a solely non-weathered Gundam, then yeah, I'd be taking a hell of a lot more care over this stage. But because I know it's going to be battered, and you know, I'm not fussed. Because time I've got my pigment on there and all my washes and that, you're not even going to notice that the decal's a bit ripped. And if it was a paint job, it adds a chipping effect. So there you go. Bob is one's uncle. So that's all of that sorted now. So my sanding stick can go away. I'm going to shove that back on there because now I'm going to go around with my paintbrush and pick out all the little edges that I ain't happy with. As the leg goes, I'm pretty happy with the majority of it. So I can attach some of my panels now, knowing that we are where we want to be with it. So I can pop them on. And all I've done is I've gone round the inside edge there with a bit of gunmetal in some places. And the panel wash will pick out any places that I've missed anyway. But it just gives that a bit of a finish as well. See, so that's his old thigh-a-rooney on there. So that side's done. This one can come off because I'm happy with him. Or happier with him, should I say. So I think he lives in here somewhere, like that. See? And then I'll get the other side on there in a minute, put the back on, and then we can start weathering that little puppy up. So I'll just move me sharp mouth out of the way and slap him on there. Let's get a bit of paint. So we're going to go for a bit of black and a bit of German grey, I think. Yeah. So we'll do the German grey first. Get that done. I think. Let's just pull my sleeves up out of the way. La 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 la. Shove a bit of German grey on there, and then I'm just literally going to come up, slap that in there like that. Again, don't want it looking brand new, because I want it to look like it's had a touch up where he's knackered the uniform up before. He's got a bit beaten up, and he sat there with his own tin of military surplus paint and thought, my boss is coming along here tomorrow and he aren't half gonna have the raging hump if he sees the state of my gear. So I better touch me suit up a little bit of lipstick and mascara, otherwise he's gonna have me cleaning out the bogs with a toothbrush. Okay, so that's all he's done. He's been along and painted painted it himself whilst he's been sat in the woods somewhere. And yeah, see, a little bit on there. Let's have a look at this one, see what we need to put on there. There's a bit of blue exposed, which we don't want to see. So we can cover that up. Rough as Harris, but not fussed. If I was looking for neatness, mate, I'd be sat here with a microscope and, you know, doing this as slow as anything, but we're not interested in that. Well, I'm not anyway. I don't do neat and shiny and that on this sort of thing. You've only got to look at my Master Chief to see that. You know, I wanted him to look like he'd been out for about 3 months with no food and nothing. Had the bejesus kicked out of him, should we say. I want to swear. And yeah, turned up looking the worse for wear. And that's how I see these figures. I don't see them as parade neat, because that ain't the real world, is it? No, Fester, I hear you all say. So we have we're done on him with that, so we can get a bit of the old blackaroon on there. Give me brush a quick rinse. A little bit of old X20A in there, gnarly old mixture. I say X20A, it's actually a bit of homebrew. I make my own thinners, as I've probably told you all a million times. If you're not sure how to make it, go and watch the tutorial. How to make your own thinners and save yourself a few quid, people. That's what we're all about. And Smooth's done one and all, how to make airbrush cleaner, and that's on the Smooth's workshop page. Give him a visit, give him a like, give him a sub. Nice old boy, and he won't mind me saying that. A bit like me, a bit of an old fart at times, but ain't we all? But give him a like and a sub, make his day. There you go. A little bit of black on there, shove a little bit on that edge. But you don't need a lot because the weathering powder's going in as well, don't forget. And that, if I look at that, should be pretty much sorted. Yeah, we're happy with that. Yeah. You know, you have to do a little bit of touching up on some of the edges, but it does the job. Creates the illusion, that's all this is about. Shove that out of the way, clean my brush, like so. And then we can do a bit of assembly on the leg, like so. That's had it done out, so I'm happy with that. Take him straight off of there. And yes, I am assembling it this quick after painting it, because I want it to stick together a bit like glue. Saves me gluing it, doesn't it? Gets fester. It saves you from gluing it, I hear you all say. Mate, a load of that. Right? God, loving ya. Yeah, you know. Let's give that a lop off of there, because these are always a pig's ear to get in. It will fit. Resistance is futile, I hear you say. Right, so persuasion refit. Have you some of that? get you in there. See, and that's his plates and that done on that leg now. See, happy days. See? Subtle. Looks a bit loud and a bit leery at the moment. Don't worry about it. Pop that on the top of his arm so we can have that on there out of the way. I think I put that on the wrong way, but there you go, that's better. Right. Lovely. And that's his other arm done and dusted. Hey. Happy days. Right. So my first point of call on this now that we've got the leg together, I can look at it and go, rightio, what am I happy with, what ain't I happy with? Well, the first thing I want to do is sort these jets out. So I'm going to do them exactly the same as I did the other one. Believe it or not, they were chrome. See, so if I have that leg there as a comparison, we're going from that to that gnarly, knackered, well used leg. Yeah. So the first thing I did is I got a bit of the old Multol liquid chrome and I did the jets. Weren't too fussy, just a little circle, just to bring them and highlight them out. Yeah. Same with the rim on the jets on the back there, just a little bit, not perfect, just enough. Same on this side, one under there, one under there, like so. One in there, just like that. Rub with the old pinky to get any excess off. Little bit on there, and again I'm not doing the whole shape, just putting a bit on because it's worn off. Okay? It's knackered, isn't it, at the end of the day? That's all you want to do, just start popping in a couple of little highlights, because as I dull this down it's actually going to then look like the underneath surface. It's going to look like there's a scratch, you know, it's exposed a bit of the metal, and that's all I'm trying to do. I just put a little bit every now and then on a few places, so that as I start weathering it and darkening it down, the chrome will actually shine out from underneath. Right, a little bit there, a little bit there, because as I pick this out with a dry brush later on, it'll start shining through. Right, a little bit along there, a little bit along there, a bit like so. A couple of little bits there, a streaky bit, a chunk in the middle. Bit there, bit there, a bit along there. You get the drift. Right? A little bit of subtle. Yeah. A little bit along there, little chip there, one along there, have one there. Cool, liking that already. That's the chrome dealt with. Won't be needing that no more. Right. So we've had a little bit of that on there. I'm going to let that dry, and then we can start with the foot. So let's get me powders out. We want a bit of that, or shall we go with a bit of that as well? Russian earth, brown wash, pretty much a bit of everything by the look of it. What's that under there? Fresh engine oil, an engine grime, so pretty much a bit of everything I've got. There you go. So that's what we're going to be using, and this is all MIG pigments, okay? So I'll start off with a bit of rust, I think. Fresh engine oil can wait until the top. The track rust and medium rust is going to be my first port of call. And all I do is I have a bit of me pigment fix at the one side ready. Let's get me brush, do it with that one, and I'll give everything a little wallop with the pigment fix at the start off with, okay, and then I'll get a bit of track rust and I'll just start rubbing it all in. Not worried about how much is on there, whether it's too much at this stage, because as Ted would say, slap it on.
Slap it on.
Okay, some of that in there. A bit along there, along there, along there, up in there. And I'm quite haphazard with this at this stage, because all the blending of it I shall do in a bit. If you, I've found doing this, if you try to do it too neat, it don't always work, because it looks like it's been done too matter of fact, if that makes any sense. So what I tend to do is I just go for it. A load of rust in there, a load in there. Huge amount around the back of his heel there, in there. And I just start getting the rust on there. It looks pretty shoddy at the moment, I know, but there's method to my madness. There is a method to my madness, people. Just go with it for the moment. That's track rust done. A little bit of light rust. Straight over the top in a few areas. Just to give it a bit of a larraping. I want the rust to sit in a few little recesses, almost like a rust pin wash. Just don't forget I've got me grime and all of that lot to go on as well. So believe you me, you know, a lot of people think I put a lot of effort into this. I don't. I'm very haphazard doing it. You know, poor old Fox is probably going to be sitting there cringing at every aspect of this, bless him. But there's a guy that knows his weathering. I don't pretend I do either, you know. He knows his stuff. Been doing it a lot longer and a lot better than I'll ever do it. And in case you're wondering who Fox is, he's model making guru. You can find him pretty easily on the tubes. So that's had a bit of that. So I'm done with that for a minute. A bit of Russian earth next. Because at the end of the day, he's been on the ground. Some of that. See, that's a rusty as arsehole's foot, that is, isn't it? Let's be honest. It'll get there. I know what I'm looking for. Honest. Bit of Russian earth now. Don't need that anymore. Let's just give that a brush off now. I want it to start running down the leg as if the leg's got wet, it's got dry, it's got wet, it's got dry. Okay, that's all I'm trying to achieve now. So let gravity do the rest. Lovely. So we're done with the pigment fixer. Believe it or not. So let's give the brush a little... Actually, I won't need to. I won't need to give that a larrapin yet. So let's quickly put some of this back out of the way. Track rust. Bit of Russian earth around. What's that? Pigment fixer. Lift down there, and that then leaves me dark brown wash. Dark brown wash for green vehicles. And this stuff I love purely and simply because for things like this it's a godsend. There you go. Have you some of that? Myself a little wipe maroon on there, like that. just on there. Yeah, some of that. Cool. Give that a little dry brush now with a chisel brush. Is where I want to be with that for a minute. Believe it or not, I'm happy with that. Because I kind of have got in my brain what I want on there. So I'll give me brushes a going over. Let that settle for a bit. I think. Tad darker than I intended, so let's just lift a little bit off. Yes, that's better. Yeah, it doesn't look as aggressive. I like that edge there though. There you go. Some pistons and that to oil up now. I like to put a bit of MIG engine oil, fresh engine oil, leaking down the back. It makes it look nice and gooey. Again, he's been in the field, so he might have seized up a little bit whilst he was out there. So he's got a tin of WD-40. And he's given his leg a bit of a going over because it's squeaking and it's giving him the hump. Perhaps giving him the raging hump. So he's, you know, obviously been shot at because he's given himself away, whether he's been hiding. And he's gone, do you know something, this is getting on my wellies now. So he's gone a bit mental with his oil and all of that because he's got the arse. There you go. Let the oil do its thing. Don't need no more of that. And a little bit of engine grime. Come around there with that. A little bit of that on top of it. A little bit down in there. And that is all I want to do on that. Because once that's dry, I'm going to dry brush the front of it with a bit of the old engine chrome. Bit of grime going up his arm, down on his hand. Not a lot on his arms, just enough. Just give that illusion of detritus and shite, like so. Just a subtle bit on his arm. And I'll let everything settle, like so, and that's beginning to do what I want it to do. It does look a bit gnarly, I know, but believe you me, when it dries, it'll be alright. Because then I'll just go over it with a real fine dry brush, and it just drops a little bit of silver on it, over the top of everything. And it just, for me, I don't know why, I chanced upon that solely by accident when I was doing it, and I liked the effect, and for me it just catches my eye enough. It keeps the weathering random, because like anything, you know, you go through puddles, then you go through dry ground, then obviously you scratch these metal of his leg, so you know you're going to have rust, you're going to have old rust, new rust, dry rust, wet rust, a bit of oil, a bit of this, a bit of that. It's not going to be uniform layers, it's going to be a bit on top of this and a bit on top of that. So I'm going to let that dry for a minute, and then we'll come back and we'll dry brush that, and then we'll do a bit of assembly. Catch you in a minute. Back again, gang. Right. Pardon me. He's had a bit of time to dry. He's a bit gnarly and a bit rusty. So now's a little bit of dry brushing time. So I'll just give that a little shake. Like so. I'll get me brush, and I tend to use a little old chisel brush because I find it quite easy to hold in my hand. Give it a little flicky, a flickeroon, so to speak. Dab the brush and get a lot of it back off, and then I just flick across in opposing angles, so it's like a little crisscross. See, come across the other way, and that gives you that texture. See, done. That's all it is. Well, that's how I do it anyway. There's probably a hell of a lot better ways to do it. You know, I'm not saying my way is the best way. If you want to see a weathering god at work, or a genius, pop along and see the model making guru Mike Foxwolf. Does a lot of weathering work, and you know, it's really good at what he does. Complete and utter nut job, and he won't mind me saying that. But he does some really lovely weathering effects on things, and Gundams is his thing, you know. And I've come right out of my comfort zone. He's been on the hangouts with me a few times on the Smoo Cave and the live feeds, and you know, he does some fantastic work, and I love his stuff. It's kind of given me the encouragement to come out and have a go at one of these, because it's been the standard joke, you know, we give Fox a bit of a ribbon, you know, so you know, how long is it going to be before we mention a Gundam? It is his thing, he's passionate about that and sci-fi, but he's damn good at what he does, and he's really intuitive with his video making. Never patronises the viewer, just gently goes through how he does things, why he does it that way, and achieves absolutely awesome results. And you know, if I could achieve half of what he could on any of my builds, I'd be an happy bunny, you know. But obviously, you know, he sticks to his particular genre and has mastered it. So pop along and see him, Model Making Guru. Also have a look at the Model Makers Boom Hut on Facebook. That's a group that Fox has set up for fellow model builders and that, where we can all show our stuff off and goof around and faff around and have a laugh, have a joke, and you know, hopefully impart some of our inane knowledge onto fellow folks who are just getting into the hobby. But yeah, I like his stuff. Same with Tony down at Helgam 35, another extremely eccentric model builder. I think he spends too much time alone in his man cave, bless him, because he's a complete and utter bozo, but a decent bloke. And again, his stuff inspires people, and you know, he's the one who got me into this, got me into the hobby again, and got me into YouTube and kept on at me. And basically, you know, you poor viewers can go off and blame this guy for having to sit here and listen to my inane drivel. If it wasn't for Tony, you wouldn't have to watch me. But a really likeable bloke. And as you can see, I'm just crisscrossing these legs. Any old how, there's no real pattern to what I'm doing. I'm just looking at ways that metal would have rubbed against metal. I'm assuming these suits are metal. Cue the rivet counting by Mr. Fox. I'm assuming that these things were metal. I think they're the suits, or the guys that sits in there is in his belly somewhere in a little seat. So I can only assume they was metal work as such. A little bit too much on there, Festa. Give that a little fade around. There you go, that's better. So yeah, if they're not metal, I'm going to look a complete and utter burk, you know. I'm assuming that they were metal. There you go. But that's pretty much the effect I'm after in that short time. And I'm very haphazard how I do my dry brushing, as you've noticed. Because I've learned over the years, if you spend too much time working it out and trying to thing it, you end up with a non-randomised pattern that looks fake. So by just giving it little crisscrosses, and that's all I'm doing, lightly touching it, as you can see, but it just gives it a little bit more of a natural scrapes and different angles and stuff. Now I'm pretty stoked with that. You guys might hate it, I don't know. For me personally, I love that. I love it that much that I'm leaving it alone now. A little bit of dry brushing underneath his plate, just to give it a bit of scratch effect. Plate, for those, I suppose I should have a translator really. What I mean by plate is plate of meat, his feet. See? But that randomised crisscrossing has created that effect. So there's rust, there's dirt, but there's scratched metal from where he's been walking. And that is another leg done. A little bit of the same effect on this foot. Let's get a bit of paint on there, Wilco. Have some of that. There you go. Hey, little crisscrosses. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Happy days. A little bit on there. And I'm literally just flicking it across. It's barely touching the kit. But you do it in such a quick way. You're just dressing edges and nooks and crannies. Getting the paint just to lick almost any edges. That, my friends, is a bit of that. Done that on, but I can't remember whether I've done that one. A little bit on his elbow pad. A little bit across there. Okay. Little X across there. A bit across there. And you notice I'm not fussy, and I'm slapping it anywhere I like. Because that's kind of what happens in the field. You know, bits get scratched, bits get gnarly, you know, he's been laying down, he's been doing all kinds of stuff out there. So he's not going to be neat and tidy, he's going to look in a right old mess. I'm pretty content with it. A little bit more on his upper arm there because that's looking a bit nude, isn't it? There you go. A bit on his noggin, a bit across his hand around. That is him dry brushed. I figure out how to put him down without getting me fingerprints all in it. So he's gonna be ready now to be built. Now I'm not gonna put him together just yet. I want that paint to dry before I start handling him, and I'll probably give him a clear coat as well, a bit of matte varnish on there just to protect the weathering. Actually I'll gloss it and then matte it down. Yeah, do that, because then I can matte certain areas, keep certain bits as gloss. But the weathering stage of him is done for now. All I've got left is a bit of building with him, assemble him. But like I say, that leg now, I'm happy with it. It's just subtle enough, scratched enough for me to go, yeah, I like that. And although it's urban camo decals, it's faded them down enough to take the glare away from it all, the super shininess, and don't want it too busy, if that makes sense. So we're going to pause, a cup of tea, we'll come back, we'll give him a quick gloss coat in sections, and then we'll slap him together